morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to Honest Football Talk, where I, Thomas Llewellyn, am here to give you guys my honest take on everything going on in the NFL world today. So, I thought, what better way to start episode 2 than to go over some of the feedback for episode 1. As you guys know, this is my first time really getting into the podcast world, so I might run into some bumps along the way, might run into some little hiccups, some little rookie mistakes, but I just thought, what better way than to go over them? As a podcast host, I pride myself on wanting to present you guys the most accurate information possible whenever I cover the NFL. So, I want to do my best and do my due diligence to make that as accurate as possible and give you guys the best information possible here. I want you guys to keep coming back and, and also enjoy the content here. So, I am human. I might make some mistakes along the way. I'm not going to promise that this will be the last time that something silly might happen, or I might make some little silly mistake. But at the same time, I am going to do my best to address it when I do make those mistakes, because that's what we do here. I want to hold myself accountable. So, going forward, let's address some of these mistakes that did happen in episode 1. One of the ones was one that I addressed in the pinned comment, if you guys saw, was about the Trevor Lawrence story. When I first addressed it, I'd accidentally mentioned that Trevor Lawrence had actually not won his playoff game for whatever reason. I had flipped it in my head to have Justin Herbert stats and Trevor Lawrence stats when I was discussing it. Just a total brain fart. But one of the reasons why I didn't, private the video or remove the video or redo it or all is because it really didn't change how I felt about Trevor Lawrence altogether, because I still stick by my main feelings by him that he doesn't deserve that contract. Let's really look even deeper into Trevor Lawrence. I thought I'd get some more details here. Let's look into it. So, I want this to be known. Trevor Lawrence has only been in the league for 3 years. He did win that one playoff game, and he was down 27-0 and came back. I think there is something to that. I think that does warrant, some discussion of maybe he deserves to get a bigger contract, but to be the highest paid, Lawrence ties Joe Burrow as the league's highest paid player at $55 million a year, according to CBS Sports. I think that is way too crazy of a number, especially when he still had 2 years left on his rookie deal when when the Jaguars could have definitely, messed around with that and seen what they could have, seen what more Trevor Lawrence could have done for them in a year or two, and use that money maybe around, other pieces in the offense or defense to really help Trevor Lawrence and ascend him to have a contract worthy of such a thing. But going on from there, I also wanted to be known that I did have another little mistake with Josh Huff, with Bryce Huff, whenever we had talked about the Jets story of some of the players missing voluntary minicamp and mandatory minicamp, that being Bryce Huff. Or not being Bryce Huff, that being Hassan Reddick, and I had mentioned about Bryce Huff signing with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'd messed up his name. I'd said Josh Huff, and as I'm messing it up right now, because I'm being silly, sorry. With Josh Huff, he was a former wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, just happened to get his name mixed up in my head. Really liked him when he played for us too, but now we got Bryce Huff, and interested to see where that goes for the Eagles. But yeah, those were just some of my little mistakes that I made in episode 1, and looking to move past those. Happens again, we'll address them, but from there on, thanks again for everyone tuning in for that episode 1. Greatly appreciate all the feedback. Please keep giving me feedback. Greatly appreciate it. Love having discourse with you guys. That's the whole reason I made this thing, so let's keep it up. So, going from there, let's look at some of the most recent news going on in the NFL. So, one of the bigger stories that I wanted to cover here for this week's episode is Kansas City releasing their defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs. This is following multiple offseason incidents, according to NFL.com. He was entering his sixth season in the NFL. He was a former Alabama player and was selected by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the sixth round in the 2019 NFL Draft. And it's pretty astounding that he was entering, sixth year, being such a late round draft pick. There's a lot of merit to making it deep in the NFL when you're a later round pick. So it's unfortunate to see this happen. Looking more deeper into some of the details, looks like he was arrested on domestic violence charges. Domestic violence and burglary charges. Sorry, I can't say the word. Charges in Alabama last week. He's currently in the same jail where he was. Where he had turned himself in back in May over some animal cruelty charges as well. So, my personal opinion, I can't, even picture seeing anything being done to hurt animals. I love animals. I got a lot of lovely little puppers myself, some lovely pugs and some kitties and stuff. I couldn't imagine imagine leaving them without having any food or water or anything like that. So, hearing that story really, really broke my heart. Hope justice takes its course with that, and it's really unfortunate to see such a promising story end up like that in the NFL. Going on from there, a much more uplifting story with the next set of news I got here is Jake Bates. He signed a 2-year contract with the Detroit Lions. He's a very, very awesome upcoming story. Didn't play any college ball or college football, but decided to play for the UFL when it was just created for this year, play for the Michigan Panthers. And he's most known for kicking his 64-yard walk-off game winner in Michigan's season opening victory against the Battlehawks. Got all this information from ESPN.com as well. Pretty awesome how he's able to make that and get his 2-year deal with the Detroit Lions here, getting an opportunity in the pros. Really, really cool story. Really, really excited to see him, battle it out here in camp. I hear that there's some good competition there from some friends of mine. I got a friend who's a really big Lions fan. He's excited to see how he does as well. And, we'll see if Jake makes it there with the Detroit Lions. If not Detroit, maybe someone else. But if he gets a shot in the NFL, I'll be excited to see him on Sunday nights or on regular Sundays kicking in the NFL. Be really, really cool. Alrighty, and going on from there, of course, this is the off season, so not a lot of crazy stories going on. I thought, what better way than to go into some of my top rankings? If you saw from the title of this video, I'm going to base it more around some of my top rankings going into this season. I'm going to start with the offense here. The first position we'll go with is running backs, and to start the running backs, I think I'm going to start with 5 and go up to 1. Build up some anticipation. Let me know what you think. Alrighty, so number 5, I got Breece Hall as my number 5 running back going into 2024. He's PFF's number 8 rated running back as of 2023 season. They have him rated with a score of 82.4. When using a StatMuse as a source, they give some great statistics for players for the previous season. So for Breece Hall's 2023 season, I have him with 223 carries, 994 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Looking at these stats, it looks like he really burst off the scene here, really picked up some the pace here with the Jets, as you could say. As you can see, they ran into a bit of a muck whenever they had to go back to Zach Wilson. Unfortunately, when Aaron Rodgers got his injury, there was a lot of hope there at the very beginning of the season. But Breece Hall was a very, very big bright spot on their team, and I see him being another big bright spot, especially with Aaron back. I think they're going to do great with all those pieces. So excited to see how that offense does going forward. With that, going with my number 4 running back, That would have to be Derrick Henry. I have him, or PFF has him at a 90.2 rating and number 3 on their overall rankings. When using StatMuse, they have his Derrick Henry's stats as 280 carries, 1,167 yards, and 12 touchdowns for 2023. Thank you. Looking at his stats, did great for Tennessee. Another great thing, or another example of like they had kind of a stagnant offense, wasn't able to do much. Will Levis wasn't able to do much on the outsides, even with DeAndre Hopkins there. Excuse me. So, Derrick Henry, another bright spot on the running side of the ball. Did a great job running the ball. Did great. Always a for sure guy on the goal line. Huge dude. You know he's going to get it in there. So excited to see Derrick Henry going forward this season. Think he's going to do great, especially in fantasy value. You know, he's probably going to be a value this year. Probably should be a first round pick, but it's going to probably drop down to second, third round pick. Make sure you pick Derrick Henry up. He's going to have a big year. Going from there, number 3 on my top running backs going into 2024, we got Bijan Robinson. So, unfortunately, I was surprised he was outside the top 20 for PFF. Actually, I think Tyler Algier was actually on there, which surprised me. His backup was on there, but Bijan wasn't. I see Bijan going to be getting a much more increased role. His 2023 stats, according to StatMuse, is 214 carries, 976 yards, and 8 touchdowns for 2023. So did pretty good for bursting out the seam there for his rookie year there. I think he did good. I'm excited to see him going forward. So yeah, that's why I got Bijan number 3. I think he's going to be he's going to be a lot more used to the offense now. Without Arthur Smith there, new system going in this year. I think they're going to implement him a lot more going forward. So get ready for Bijan Robinson taking over the scene. That's my predictions. From there, we got Saquon Barkley at number 2. He was also outside the top 20 of PFF, which was very strange. For his 2023 stats, we have him at 247 carries, 962 yards, and 10 touchdowns. As you know, being a big Eagles fan, very excited to get Saquon Barkley on our side. Very excited to see where that goes going forward. Whenever we had DeAndre Swift, I was kind of surprised we didn't use him a lot more. We used a lot of Kenneth Gainwell. We use a lot of mixed packages, so I am a little bit worried if you are looking at him fantasy wise, like the way Eagles like to implement a lot of different running backs, and Eagles got a lot here in the draft too, and even in their undrafted free agents got I think it was Georgia's running back. So I think we got 2 other running backs other than in the draft as well, as well as picking up Saquon. So it's gonna be a battle in the Eagles camp, as well as even getting touches on the field. So might be a little bit hesitant in fantasy, but Saquon's gonna look special out there no matter how the Eagles use him. I'm excited to see where it goes going forward. And you guys could probably guess my number 1, especially if it's looking fantasy-wise, is CMC. PFF had him as number 2. He was 90.3. He got Offensive Player of the Year. And according to StatMuse, he got, in 2023, had 272 carries, 1,459 yards, and 21 touchdowns. Pretty astounding. Makes sense that he got Offensive Player of the Year. Dude is amazing. He's going to keep being amazing as long as he's healthy. That's his biggest issue, is that a few seasons with Carolina, he wasn't the healthiest. So we'll see going forward how that goes, but excited to see that. Going from there, we're going to go ahead and going to the one that probably everyone's most excited for. At least I would be. At least I am most excited for. We'll put it that way. My personal top 5 quarterbacks going into 2024. So let's get into it. We'll do the same thing here. We'll start from 5 going to 1. And number 5, we have C.J. Stroud for me. I got C.J. Stroud at PFF has him at number 13 for last year, with an 83.1 for their rating. StatMuse, his yards was 4,108. Yards, 23 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions by StatMuse, and he got Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. Very, very excited to see where he goes after getting Offensive Rookie of the Year. Very well deserved. Dude did amazing leading that Houston's offense. I expected Houston to get a lot better with D'Amico Ryans taking over as head coach, but man, did they really turn it over with CJ. He's been a cornerstone for them, doing amazing for that franchise. Really looking great for the Houston Texans going forward. Really glad they were able to bounce back even after all the Deshaun Watson mess. Looking good for them. Looking good for Houston Texan fans. You got a great team going forward. They got a lot of great pieces around them, and you're going to notice that with this list that a lot of players I base on the pieces around them mostly, because I feel like a lot of these quarterbacks are going to go off because they got a lot of help. And going from C.J. Stroud, we're going to go to number 4. Number 4, I have Tua Tagovailoa. I hope I said that correctly. He was ranked number 7 last year on PFF's grading with a 86.9, and StatMuse has him as his 2023 ratings with 4,624 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. So lots of stats there, mostly because he's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Lots of help. That's what I'm saying. I feel like he's going to repeat numbers like that. So make sure if you're drafting, keep a look for Tua. He never goes early, but he puts up the stats to go early. Going from there, we got my number 3 quarterback going into 2024. I would make it Lamar Jackson. That's right. I have Lamar Jackson as my number 3 quarterback going into 2024. PFF has him in number 3 with a 90.4 rating. StatMuse has his 2023 ratings as 3,678 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, and he also won his 2nd MVP this year. Goes to show he's an MVP winner. I really like Lamar's play style. He gets a lot of hate because they say he's a running back. I just think that's another dynamic aspect to his game plan. He's able to throw the ball just fine when he needs to. I don't worry about him whatsoever. I'd like to see him win a little bit more in the playoffs. I'd like to see him get to the big game. I think the dude deserves it. Deserves to get there at the very, very least. So, looking forward to see what Lamar does this year. That's why I got him in number 3. Alrighty. Going to number 2, we got Jalen Hurts, of course. I tend to put my Eagle players very high. But also, I do very, very much trust in this offense. You can tell from this Eagles, which is a year removed from being in a Super Bowl with these offensive pieces. Jalen Hurts is a year removed from his Super Bowl stats, and he fell off a little bit more this year. He was ranked number 8 with PFF with an 86.7. His 2023 stats were 3,858 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions, according to StatMuse. And I understand that he definitely wasn't as effective. There was a lot of concern with his knee. He had a lot of injury issues, it seemed, this past year. So we'll see if maybe it was more of the offensive scheming. We had some issues with our offensive and defensive coordinators, especially down the stretch when the Eagles just plummeted, as you noticed. But I think with the change in the offensive coordinators, we got some change in weapons. I'm not as happy about losing Jason Kelce. That's my biggest fear on the offense, is seeing how the offensive line is going to react to that. I know he'll still have a presence in the locker room, but it's definitely a little worrisome not him actually leading in the game. So curious to see how the young guys are able to step up and take over that position. That's definitely going to be something to be looking at throughout training camp, and that's going to really show if the Eagles have a legitimate chance going forward. And to top it off, as you could probably guess, number 1 is the man, the myth, the legend, Patrick Mahomes. PFF has him at number 2 with a 90.5 rating for 2023. In 2023, according to StatMuse, Patrick Mahomes' stats was 4,183 yards passing, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, and also won Super Bowl MVP as 3rd. So crazy stats. Goes to show if you're not going to probably go wrong with going with Patrick Mahomes either if you're drafted in fantasy, but great player. Got him number 1. I see the Chiefs repeating mostly because of, like I said, the pieces around him. they added Hollywood Brown. Oh, excuse me. They added Hollywood Brown, who I believe is an underrated ad. Like, they weren't really talking about this much, but I mean, they got him kind of on a cheaper deal, and he's like a year removed from being like Kyler Murray's like best target. So like I see him being like a great deep threat again. Going to be just like Tyreek. They're going to get some plays like Tyreek Hill with Hollywood Brown, I think, and Andy Reid, he's a mastermind, man. I've always loved Andy. He's gonna scheme him up back to that Super Bowl. It might be a three-peat for those Kansas City Chiefs, and that's. I'm gonna be honest. As a fan, I'm starting to get a little tired of it. I love you, Andy. It's like you've had your time. Let some other teams get it. Let the Eagles get back there. But anyways, guys, that's everything I got for today. Greatly appreciate everyone for tuning in for another episode. Greatly appreciate everyone for stopping by. And remember to leave me a like. Remember to subscribe if you can. Greatly appreciate all the feedback. And I think that's all I got. And I'll try to, like I said, try to be consistent. Be back in another week. So I'll see you guys in about a week. And with that, this is Honest Football Talk. This is Thomas Malone signing out. Thank you for tuning in to Honest Football Talk. I'll see you guys again next week. Take care, guys. Peace.